Somebody suggested I should take a look at grappling in GURPS. Given that the section for this in the core book wouldn't even fill a page, I'm just going to jump right into this with less of my usual fanfare. Grappling is a form of unarmed combat when one character attempts to physically seize and control another by grabbing onto their body. To start, you need to be in the same hex as them, and you need at least one hand free, and if they're on the ground somehow, you're going to have to step down into the same position as them. Grapples are performed as part of any of the standard attack maneuvers, including all-out attack and move-in attack, and can even benefit from evaluate and feint. Also, like any other attack, it's based on dexterity, or some sort of grappling-based skill like judo or wrestling. If you happen to have more than 2 arms, every extra arm you're using gives you a +2 to hit with grappling. And if you're only trying to grab a specific part of the body, other than their torso, you suffer penalties for attacking a hit location. If you succeed and your opponent does not successfully defend, you're holding on to them and they're at a -4 dexterity penalty. Having somebody grappled gives you a few new options. From grappling, you can use takedown to, well, take them down. For either participant, this is a quick contest based on strength, dexterity, or a grappling skill, whichever is highest for either party. Whomever wins manages to bring their opponent to the ground. From there, you can use an action to pin them, which renders them helpless, unable to move, and puts you in a good position to keep them there, giving you a +5 to keep them from getting up, or a +10 if you're using both hands. Or if you're grappling somebody by their neck, choking them out becomes an option. Choking out is a quick contest of the attacker's strength versus the higher of the defender's strength or dexterity, and your margin of success is how much damage you do, with damage resistance over their neck protecting them, but still subject to the 1.5 multiplier for damaging their neck. If just 1 point of damage gets through, they then start suffocating and they lose 1 point of fatigue every turn. There's yet more details on page 403, the campaign's book of the core set. Arm locks are a special technique you can use if you have judo or wrestling, and it predictably has more considerations than even basic attacks. Seriously, this entry is like half a page long. It starts with having some kind of martial art that specializes in grabbing body parts, like wrestling or judo. Without throwing too many numbers around, it works like this. While unarmed, you can parry a melee attack made by an enemy. Then, if they're still within 1 yard on your next turn, you can make an attack to grab their arm. And since it's an attack, they can make a defense action. But if you are successful, you have them by the arm, and you get a couple of advantages. First, on quick contests that they make to try and get free from you grabbing their arm, you're at a +4, representing that you do in fact know how to keep somebody's arm in your grasp when you've got a grab on it. And they're of course at the -4 dex that comes to trying to use that restricted limb. Second, for as long as you're holding onto their arm, you can damage the limb directly with a quick contest. Your judo, wrestling, or strength, and the higher of your target's strength or health. Your margin of success on that quick contest is how much damage you do, and only natural damage resistance or rigid armor is able to stop it. And to add on to this, the arm breaking part of that maneuver does not count as an attack. So, you can also knee them in the stomach or hit them with an additional arm if you happen to have one of those. The other maneuver that I want to bring attention to is the chokehold, which, once again, also keys off of wrestling or judo. It starts with grappling somebody from behind with both of your arms. You'll be at judo -2 or wrestling -3 for this, but your target can only react if they're aware that you're behind them, and they suffer from any penalties that they would for you attacking them from behind. When you succeed, you're at a +5 for any quick contests they make to break free. Also note, you control their head and neck, so they can still try to attack you or somebody else. But on your next turn, and until they break free, that opponent will lose 1 fatigue, and you can do crushing damage to them per the normal grappling rules, and to make it sweeter, you're at a +3 when you're doing this. Grappling is the real way to do damage when you're unarmed in GURPS, So let's take a moment to talk about some of the countermeasures you can take if you're caught with somebody wrapped around you. First, let's look at what you lose access to when you're grappled. Parts of you that are grappled, you can't attack with. No biting if you're restrained by the head or neck, no punching if someone's got you by the arm, so on and so forth. And anything that you're trying to do while you're grappled puts you at a -4 dexterity. You also cannot move unless you have twice the strength of whoever is grappling you. And a lot of combat options simply stop being available to you. Your best bet at that point is to make yourself a problem for whoever is grappling you. If you have a free hand or leg, you can still strike them, albeit with that -4 to your dexterity. Or if you got a weapon on hand, you can try using that. You can draw a weapon, but you do need to make a dexterity roll to do so. And if you fail, you drop the weapon as you're fumbling around trying to get it out. So, by baseline, being grappled is a very dangerous situation to be in. But if you have the brawling or karate skills, that does open a few other options for you. Specifically, knee and elbow strikes. Elbow strikes are a technique that you can use to strike somebody that's behind or to the side of you, and it does not come with the penalty that's associated with wild strike. Doing so puts you at brawling -2 or karate -2, and you deal your normal punching damage. So if somebody grabs you from behind, you can use an elbow strike to get around some of the nastier parts of being grappled while still putting up a fight. Knee strikes, by contrast, are excellent for being on either side of a grapple. The roll for a knee strike is brawling or karate -1, and if you're the one grappling somebody, you can knee strike them and put them at a -2 penalty to any defense rolls. Though if you're the one that is being grappled, you can target their groin with no penalty. And as a quick sidebar, groin hits double the amount of shock that is applied, for fairly obvious reasons. Shock is simply a one-turn dex and IQ penalty that you suffer for taking damage equal to the damage you take, no higher than -4. Groin hits, however, double this maximum threshold. Meaning, if somebody is quick but not necessarily strong and they've got you by the front, take a chance to knee them in the groin and you'll have a decent chance of escaping. There's a lot that can be inferred from just these few pages and slices of minutia. Besides the obvious that GURPS has a lot of granularity. I mean, everything from how strong you are, how tall you are, how good at learning things, and how attractive that your character is, are all valid things that you can invest points into in GURPS. And there's also a lot of specific things that a character is able to do right out of the box without needing to invest a whole lot of points. Just the basics of attacking, unarmed or not, have several combinations of how you can move, attack, and other things in between. All of those are governed by the dexterity stat. But you can also specialize in a particular method of fighting via skills, such as swords, clubs, or having an unarmed fighting style like wrestling or karate. And those are much cheaper to increase than dexterity is via character points. And depending on what your character's unarmed style is, they could have a particular maneuver that they like or otherwise excel at, which can be represented by learning it as a technique and giving you a price break for being better at that specific thing you can do with that skill. Meaning, we have 3 different ways to improve our ability to fight, depending on just how much character points we're willing to invest or how much we're willing to restrict the utility of that ability, which is a sort of freedom of character creation and improvement you don't really get in games like Pathfinder. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful or interesting, give me a thumbs up like. And if you want to hear more about GURPS or other complex tabletop role-playing games, check out my other videos or consider subscribing. With all that said, I am Aron der Schädel, and I will see you all next time.